Discover how Stoicism can help you master your emotions and find inner peace. Have you ever felt so angry that it felt like your world was crashing down? A single comment, a passing remark, or even a glance can suddenly set you off, spiraling into frustration and stress. It's easy to feel helpless, but what if there was a way to break free from this emotional turmoil? What if you could remain unshaken, no matter the circumstances? What if the chaos of the world could no longer disturb your peace of mind? In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded by distractions, negative influences, and stressors. Emotions can run high, and it often feels as if the smallest things can throw us off balance. But there's hope. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy practiced by legendary thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, holds the key to mastering your emotions. Stoicism offers profound answers to the chaos of modern life, teaching us not only how to stay calm, but also how to thrive in the face of adversity. Unlock the secrets of Stoicism to regain control of your life. Imagine being able to navigate life's challenges with ease, not being affected by the things that once made you angry or upset. Is this possible? Yes, it is. By embracing the wisdom of Stoicism, you can transform your emotional responses, gain a sense of inner peace, and reclaim control over your life. What I am about to share isn't just theoretical, it's a powerful philosophy, deeply rooted in ancient wisdom, but incredibly relevant today. The 7 principles of Stoicism we're about to explore are designed to help you master your emotions, understand yourself better, and ultimately live a life of tranquility. The power of acceptance. Embrace willingness to live without resistance. Imagine a world where you no longer resist life's challenges. Every frustration, every obstacle, every inconvenience becomes an opportunity for growth and inner peace. The key to this transformative perspective is willingness, the Stoic principle that teaches us to accept whatever life throws at us with grace and without resistance. Embrace what life brings, no matter how it looks. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations that we must accept the things to which fate binds you. This doesn't mean you should passively accept things that harm you, nor does it suggest resignation in the face of adversity. Instead, it's about facing life head-on with the understanding that what happens, happens for a reason, even if that reason is not immediately clear. For example, consider a seemingly mundane task like washing dishes. If you approach it reluctantly, every plate feels like a burden. But what if you could turn this small act into an opportunity for mindfulness and peace? When we change our attitude toward mundane tasks, they no longer feel like chores, but like moments of serenity. The role of acceptance in personal growth. What happens when we apply this principle to life's bigger challenges? Take the example of being stuck in traffic. The typical response is anger, thoughts of frustration at the delay, anxiety about being late, or irritation at the other drivers. But by applying the principle of willingness, you can use this time for reflection or enjoyment. Choose to listen to a podcast or simply enjoy the silence. By doing this, you take control of the situation, freeing yourself from frustration and stress. Shift your focus to a greater vision. One of the most empowering elements of willingness is defining your vision in life. What do you truly want to achieve? Rather than chasing temporary goals like wealth or possessions, focus on a greater, long-term vision, one that encompasses your entire life. When your vision is clear, every action you take is aligned with that vision, whether it's pleasant or challenging. This clarity provides you with the strength to face obstacles willingly, knowing that everything is contributing to your larger journey. By embracing willingness, we let go of the weight of resistance, allowing us to flow with life rather than fight against it. This mental shift can reduce stress and empower us to live more freely, In relationships, this acceptance becomes even more powerful. We often expect others, especially those we love, to understand us perfectly. But no one can read our minds. Even the closest friends or family members may misunderstand us at times, and that's okay. Rather than blaming them or getting frustrated, we can choose to communicate more clearly, recognizing the freedom of non-judgment. Let go of the burden of criticism. Have you ever been irritated or even angry at someone for something they did? It's easy to judge others based on their actions. After all, we've all been conditioned to believe that we're entitled to certain expectations from those around us. But Stoicism teaches us that judgment is the root of many of our negative emotions, including anger, frustration, and bitterness. How we judge shapes our emotions. Think about the last time you judged someone. Maybe it was a colleague who was late to work, a friend who broke a promise, or a stranger who cut in front of you in line. The immediate reaction is often one of irritation. We label the person as rude, inconsiderate, or lazy. But these judgments don't necessarily reflect the truth of the situation. We interpret the world through our own experiences, biases, and expectations. When someone acts contrary to these expectations, we jump to conclusions, which fuels our anger. In Stoicism, letting go of judgment is a powerful way to free ourselves from negative emotions. The key is recognizing that we cannot control others' actions, but we can control how we respond to them. Instead of judging, we can shift our perspective and practice empathy. Perhaps that colleague is late because they are facing personal challenges, or the stranger cutting in line is rushing to meet an urgent need. By considering these possibilities, we soften our judgment and reduce the anger we feel. Viewing others through a lens of empathy. Instead of jumping to conclusions about others' behavior, we can pause and reflect. What might this person be going through that we don't know? What are their circumstances? In doing so, we not only reduce our emotional burden, but also foster deeper empathy for the people around us. The Stoics remind us that the best way to respond to harm is to maintain our composure and dignity, rather than allowing anger to take control. By choosing not to judge others, we reclaim our peace and protect our emotional well-being. Letting go of control, finding peace in the uncontrollable. How often do you find yourself frustrated by things beyond your control? Whether it's the weather, traffic, or another person's behavior, it's easy to become upset when life doesn't go the way we want. But Stoicism teaches us an invaluable lesson. True peace comes from letting go of the need to control everything around us, understanding what we can and can't control. In the Stoic worldview, much of our suffering comes from the false belief that we can control everything. We cannot control the actions of others, but we can always control our response to those actions. For instance, consider being stuck in traffic. You can't control the other drivers, but you can control how you respond to the situation. You can either choose to let the traffic ruin your day or accept it as a minor inconvenience and find a way to make the best of it. Releasing control brings freedom. One of the most powerful Stoic exercises is to accept what is beyond our control. By doing so, we can free ourselves from frustration and anxiety. This doesn't mean we stop striving for improvement or giving up on our goals. It simply means recognizing that some things are beyond our influence, and that's okay. For example, a mother may worry about her child's grades, but she cannot take the test for them or force them to succeed. Similarly, an employee may feel frustrated by a boss's unreasonable decisions, but they cannot control their boss's thoughts or actions. Instead of resisting what we cannot change, Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control: our mindset, our actions, and our emotional responses. Embrace imperfection, finding peace in the flaws of life. Have you ever found yourself frustrated when things don't go as planned? Maybe a colleague didn't deliver on time, or a project didn't turn out as expected. The temptation is to feel anger or disappointment as if the imperfection of the situation is a personal affront. But Stoicism teaches us a vital lesson. Perfection is an illusion, and it is this illusion that often leads to much of our suffering. The illusion of perfection. Letting go of unrealistic expectations. In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by the notion of perfection, whether it's in the media, our personal expectations, or the way others behave. But Stoicism challenges this idea. Perfection, both in ourselves and others, is unattainable. Everything in life is subject to change, flaws, and imperfections. Once we embrace this truth, we release ourselves from the chains of unrealistic expectations. For instance, imagine preparing for an important presentation at work. You've spent hours perfecting your slides, rehearsing your speech, and double-checking every detail. But on the day of the presentation, your colleague forgets to bring the essential materials. Now you feel as if all your hard work has been undermined. However, Stoicism teaches us to accept that imperfection is a part of the human experience. Instead of becoming frustrated, we can focus on finding a solution, perhaps improvising or shifting our focus to what we can control. This mindset transforms the frustration into an opportunity for creativity and growth. It helps us to see that imperfection isn't a flaw. It's simply the reality of life. Once we accept this, we can move forward with a sense of peace and clarity. The power of perspective. How to embrace imperfection. Consider how different life would be if we embraced imperfection as part of our journey rather than something to avoid. When we stop demanding perfection from ourselves and others, we create space for empathy, patience, and growth. Imagine the release of pressure you would feel if you stopped expecting flawless outcomes from every situation. That their imperfections, just like our own, are part of the human condition. By embracing imperfection, we learn to approach life with more grace and patience. This doesn't mean we give up on improving ourselves or the world. It simply means that we understand and accept that flaws are a natural part of life, and rather than fighting against them, we can live in harmony with them. Take responsibility for your emotions. You control how you react. Have you ever experienced a situation where you felt deeply hurt by someone's words or actions? It's easy to feel that others are the cause of our pain, but Stoicism teaches us a transformative idea. Our emotions are not controlled by external events, but by how we choose to interpret and react to them. The power of ownership. Recognizing your role in your emotions. At the core of Stoic philosophy is the idea that we have control over our own emotional responses. While we can't control what others do or say, we always have the power to control how we respond. For example, imagine someone criticizes you unfairly at work. The initial instinct might be to feel hurt, angry, or defensive. But what if you chose not to let those emotions dictate your behavior? Taking responsibility for your emotions means recognizing that they are a product of your thoughts. When we internalize others' actions, we hand over our emotional power to them. But Stoicism offers us a way out. By taking ownership of our responses, we reclaim our peace. We can ask ourselves, why am I reacting this way? Is this response truly serving me? In doing so, we create space between the event and our reaction, allowing us to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Practical steps to take responsibility for your emotions. One of the most powerful tools in Stoicism is the practice of pausing before reacting. When you feel anger, frustration, or any strong emotion rising, take a deep breath. Give yourself a moment to reflect. Is this response really necessary? Is it worth losing your peace over? By pausing and reflecting, we create space between the trigger and our response, which gives us time to choose a more measured, calm reaction. Another effective Stoic technique is to keep a journal of your emotions. Each evening, take a few moments to reflect on what upset you during the day and how you reacted. What could you have done differently? Over time, this practice helps you recognize emotional patterns and strengthens your ability to manage your emotions. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. By internalizing this wisdom, we empower ourselves to maintain a sense of calm no matter what life throws our way. The art of non-reaction, responding to life without losing your peace. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were criticized or offended, and your first instinct was to react immediately? In many cases, our reactions are automatic, driven by our emotions. But Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in non-reaction, the ability to remain composed and unaffected by external circumstances. Why non-reaction is so powerful? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The essence of this teaching is that our emotions are not determined by events themselves, but by our interpretation of them. For example, if someone insults you, the natural reaction may be anger. But instead of letting anger take over, you have the power to choose whether to respond or not. The practice of non-reaction doesn't mean becoming passive or disengaged. Rather, it's about choosing to respond with composure and clarity rather than reacting impulsively. This approach helps us maintain control over our emotions, preventing them from controlling us. Mastering non-reaction in daily life. One of the best ways to practice non-reaction is by delaying your response. If someone says something hurtful or critical, don't respond immediately. Instead, take a moment to pause, breathe, and consider your options. Often, by simply allowing time to pass, you will find that your anger or frustration fades, and you are able to respond with greater calm and understanding. In some cases, silence can be the most powerful response. By choosing not to engage in negative exchanges, you can preserve your peace of mind. It's like the old adage, if a donkey kicks you and you kick back, you are both donkeys. Responding with silence or composure can disarm hostility and help you retain your inner calm. By practicing non-reaction, you not only protect your peace but also create space for personal growth and emotional resilience. When you stop reacting automatically, you start to respond with intention, choosing actions that align with your values rather than your emotional impulses. Finding joy in selflessness, the power of compassion and forgiveness. Have you ever experienced the deep satisfaction that comes from helping someone without expecting anything in return? Stoicism teaches us that one of the highest virtues is selflessness, the act of giving without expecting rewards and finding joy in compassion and forgiveness. Why selflessness is essential to inner peace. In a world that often prioritizes individual success, Stoicism encourages us to shift our focus toward helping others. When we act selflessly, we not only improve the lives of those around us, but we also cultivate a sense of fulfillment and joy within ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." This reminder invites us to appreciate the simple joys of life and to give freely of ourselves. The transformative power of forgiveness. One of the greatest gifts we can give is forgiveness, not just for others, but also for ourselves. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior. Rather, it is about choosing to release the anger and resentment that hold us hostage. When we forgive, we free ourselves from the burden of bitterness. A story that illustrates this perfectly involves a colleague who was frequently critical. Rather than retaliating or holding a grudge, this individual chose to listen with empathy and offer help. Over time, their relationship transformed and the workplace atmosphere improved. Forgiveness has the power to heal not only our relationships with others, but also our own hearts. Finding freedom through acceptance. Let go of what you can't control. How often do you feel frustrated when things don't go as planned? In our fast-paced, outcome-driven world, we are often conditioned to believe that we must have everything under control in order to succeed. But Stoicism teaches us a profound truth. Control is an illusion. What we can truly control is how we respond to the situations life presents us. The illusion of control. Why it leads to suffering. In life, it's easy to become consumed by the need to control everything around us. We believe that if we can just organize, plan, and manage every aspect of our lives, we can avoid disappointment and frustration. However, Stoicism reminds us that there is only so much we can control. External events, other people's actions, and even the natural world are beyond our direct influence. Instead of fighting against life's unpredictability, Stoicism teaches us to embrace it. Accept that some things are simply out of our hands. For example, consider a time when you planned a vacation, but bad weather ruined your plans. It's natural to feel upset, but fighting against the weather doesn't change the reality of the situation. Instead, focus on what you can control, like how you choose to spend the time during the delay or how you adjust your expectations. Choosing peace over control, the power of acceptance. What if, instead of focusing on trying to control the uncontrollable, we embraced the freedom that comes with acceptance? Accepting life's uncertainties allows us to be at peace with whatever happens. When we let go of the need to manipulate every outcome, we can enjoy life as it is, finding joy even in the imperfections. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on this in his writings, noting that we cannot control other people's thoughts or actions, but we always have the ability to control our thoughts and reactions. By focusing on what we can control, our attitudes, our emotions, and our decisions, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and anxiety. When we embrace this Stoic principle, we begin to experience a deep sense of calm and clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively to life's challenges, we choose to respond with wisdom and grace, grounded in the understanding that we are not at the mercy of the world, but empowered by our ability to respond. The Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, preparing for adversity in advance. What happens when things go wrong? It's easy to become overwhelmed by unexpected challenges, but Stoicism provides us with a valuable tool to prepare for life's inevitable difficulties. Premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Anticipating challenges before they happen. Premeditatio malorum is a Stoic exercise where you imagine the worst-case scenarios before you begin your day. This practice doesn't mean living in fear or expecting the worst, but rather mentally preparing for the challenges and obstacles that could arise. When we anticipate potential difficulties, we are better equipped to face them with calm and resilience. For instance, before an important meeting, you might imagine a situation where everything goes wrong. Your presentation fails, the technology breaks down, or your colleagues are unprepared. By mentally rehearsing these potential challenges, you can approach the situation with greater confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you are prepared. How this practice leads to greater resilience. By incorporating premeditatio malorum into your daily life, you begin to approach adversity with a sense of inner strength. Rather than being blindsided by difficulties, you can handle them with the calm and composure that comes from knowing that you have already mentally prepared for them. This practice allows you to remain grounded and unshaken, even in the face of unexpected adversity. This exercise also helps us to release attachment to specific outcomes. If we expect everything to go perfectly, we set ourselves up for disappointment when things inevitably go wrong. But by anticipating failure and challenges, we become less attached to the idea of perfection and more accepting of life's natural ebb and flow. Living with virtue, the Stoic guide to moral integrity. How can we live a good life in a world filled with distractions and temptations? The Stoics believed that living a life of virtue, the pursuit of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, was the ultimate path to inner peace and happiness. Stoicism teaches us that the external world cannot provide lasting happiness, and that true fulfillment comes from cultivating moral excellence. The four cardinal virtues of Stoicism. The Stoics identified four cardinal virtues that should guide our actions and decisions. Wisdom, the ability to make good decisions, to understand the world as it is, and to act in accordance with reason. Wisdom enables us to discern between what is within our control and what is not, and to make choices that align with our values. Courage, the strength to face difficulties and challenges, both external and internal, with bravery. Courage is about standing firm in the face of adversity, doing what is right even when it is difficult, and persevering through hardships. Justice, the commitment to treat others fairly and with respect. Justice involves acting with integrity, fairness, and compassion toward all people, regardless of their circumstances. Temperance, the practice of self-control and moderation. Temperance helps us resist the urge to indulge in excess and to maintain balance in all areas of our lives. It's about understanding our desires and mastering them, rather than being controlled by them. Living with virtue in a modern world. In our fast-paced, materialistic world, it can be easy to lose sight of these virtues. We are constantly tempted to seek external rewards, money, fame, success. But Stoicism teaches us that true happiness comes from within. Living with virtue is about making decisions based on what is morally right, rather than what is immediately gratifying. For example, consider a time when you were faced with an ethical dilemma, perhaps at work, in a relationship, or in a personal decision. The Stoic approach would encourage you to act in alignment with your values, even if it means sacrificing short-term pleasure or convenience. By living with virtue, we cultivate a deep sense of fulfillment that transcends external circumstances. The Stoic exercise of reflecting on death. Memento mori. What would you do differently if you knew you had only a limited amount of time left to live? In Stoicism, this question is central to the practice of memento mori, the meditation on our mortality. Understanding memento mori, the power of reflection on death. Memento mori, which translates to remember you must die, is not meant to be morbid or depressing. Instead, it is a practice that encourages us to appreciate the preciousness of life by reflecting on its inevitable end. The Stoics believed that by acknowledging our mortality, we are better able to live fully and meaningfully in the present moment. Living with purpose, the lesson from Memento Mori. Reflecting on our mortality helps us put things into perspective. When we remember that life is fleeting, we are less likely to waste time on trivial matters or hold grudges. Instead, we focus on what truly matters, living with integrity, making meaningful connections, and using our time wisely. For instance, imagine you are feeling frustrated over a minor inconvenience. By remembering that time is limited, you can quickly shift your focus from irritation to gratitude, recognizing that life is too short to dwell on things beyond your control. This shift in perspective allows you to live with more intention and appreciation, finding joy in the present moment rather than worrying about the future or regretting the past. Cultivating patience and resilience, overcoming life's hardships with stoicism. Have you ever faced a major challenge or setback in life? It's easy to feel defeated when things go wrong, but Stoicism teaches us that the most resilient people are not those who avoid hardship, but those who face it with courage and patience. The role of patience in Stoic philosophy. One of the central virtues of Stoicism is patience. The Stoics believed that life is full of challenges, but it is our response to those challenges that determines whether we grow stronger or become overwhelmed. Patience is not about passively waiting for things to improve, but about actively enduring difficulties without losing our sense of purpose or peace. Imagine a time when you were dealing with a personal or professional setback. The temptation is often to become frustrated, angry, or discouraged, but instead of reacting impulsively, you can choose to respond with patience. Recognize that hardship is a part of life, and it is through these challenges that we build resilience and strength. Building resilience through Stoic practices. To build resilience, the Stoics recommend the practice of visualizing adversity. This is similar to the Stoic exercise of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, which encourages us to mentally prepare for the worst-case scenarios. By anticipating difficulties, we can approach them with calmness and strength, knowing that they are simply a part of life. Another key aspect of resilience is learning to reframe negative experiences. Instead of viewing hardships as obstacles, see them as opportunities for growth. Every challenge can teach us something valuable, whether it's learning patience, developing empathy, or improving our problem-solving skills. By reframing adversity in this way, we not only cope with hardship, but also grow through it. Living with integrity, aligning your actions with your values. What does it mean to live a good life? For the Stoics, living a good life is about acting with integrity, staying true to your values, and always striving to do what is right, even in difficult circumstances. The role of integrity in Stoic philosophy. Integrity, in the Stoic sense, is about aligning your actions with your deepest values. The Stoics believed that external rewards like wealth, status, or fame were not the true markers of success. Instead, the true measure of success is whether your actions reflect your values and principles. In the face of challenges, it's easy to be tempted by shortcuts or to compromise on our values. But Stoicism teaches us that living with integrity means sticking to our principles no matter the consequences. Whether it's in our personal relationships, our work, or our daily interactions, living with integrity ensures that we remain true to ourselves and act in accordance with our moral beliefs. Living in alignment with your values. To live with integrity, it's important to define your values clearly. What do you stand for? What kind of person do you want to be? The Stoics recommended regularly reflecting on your actions to ensure they align with your values. At the end of each day, take time to assess whether you lived in accordance with your principles. If you acted in ways that weren't aligned with your values, use that as an opportunity for growth and improvement. In practical terms, living with integrity means being honest, keeping your word, and acting with fairness and respect for others. It's about making choices that contribute to your long-term well-being and the well-being of those around you, rather than chasing fleeting pleasures or material success. The wisdom of silence. How Stoicism teaches us to choose our words. Carefully, have you ever said something in the heat of the moment and regretted it later? In Stoicism, silence is not just the absence of words, it is the practice of choosing our words carefully. The Stoics believe that speech should be thoughtful, intentional, and purposeful, not driven by emotion or impulse. Why silence is powerful. In Stoic philosophy, the Stoics saw silence as a powerful tool for self-control and wisdom. By practicing silence, we create space between our thoughts and our actions, allowing us to respond rather than react. When we are faced with conflict, disagreement, or frustration, taking a moment of silence gives us the time to reflect and choose our words thoughtfully. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote about the importance of speech being grounded in reason. He warned against speaking hastily or in anger, as it often leads to regret and misunderstanding. By choosing silence over reaction, we maintain control over our emotions and prevent ourselves from saying things we might later regret. How to practice the wisdom of silence. To incorporate this practice into your life, start by pausing before speaking. When you feel an emotional reaction bubbling up, Take a deep breath and consider whether your words are necessary or helpful. If you feel the urge to respond with anger or frustration, ask yourself whether responding in this way aligns with your values and goals. Another helpful practice is to engage in active listening. Instead of focusing on your own thoughts and reactions, focus on truly understanding the other person's perspective. By listening carefully, we create space for empathy and understanding, and our responses become more measured and thoughtful. Conclusion: embrace Stoicism for a life of tranquility and inner peace. As we have explored throughout this guide, Stoicism offers us a profound blueprint for living a life of calm, resilience, and emotional mastery. By embracing key Stoic principles such as acceptance, non-judgment, self-responsibility, and the pursuit of virtue, we can free ourselves from the grip of negative emotions and find lasting peace. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions or becoming detached from the world. Rather, it is about understanding that we can control our reactions, embracing imperfection, and choosing to live with wisdom and virtue. By practicing Stoicism, we can navigate life's challenges with greater clarity and calm, and cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment and joy. Let these teachings guide you toward a life of inner strength, peace, and emotional freedom. The power to live with tranquility is within your reach. Take the first step today.